verse 13, he says, have a girded mind, ready for, again, you see, do you understand now, ready for action? So, all right, let's get going. Ready for action. And then he says, have a sober mind. Now, a lot of us, we can understand, okay, that makes more sense, right? A sober mind is one that is not intoxicated. It is not something, and now what intoxicates the mind? Lies, poor thinking, truthisms, that's not God's word, right? It's false. That intoxicates the mind. And so what happens when a mind is intoxicated by medication or any substance? What's the, I don't know if you've ever been pulled over before. We don't have to give those testimonies, but have you seen it? Have you, what do? They have you, you seem intoxicated? Step outside the car, please, right? And then what do they have you do? All right, say the alphabet backwards, right? I don't know who can do that, but things like that. I'm like, walk a straight line. Why? How do you know if you are intoxicated? One big reason is if there's no balance in your life, right? Like, okay, if you're intoxicated, you lose balance. Well, think about that. When our mind is intoxicated by false things or the lies, then our mind is off balance. It is hard to kind of get it together. It's hard to stand when you're, and what does that? It's the lies. And so notice, why do we gird the mind? And so why do we pull those thoughts in? Because to try to keep from that happening so that we're not unstable, but more stable. And a sober mind is a well-nourished one, right? Because again, think about it. Intoxication is you ate or drank something that has now intoxicated you. There's toxic, there's toxic in you. You see that? And so what do? Well, then we need to well-nourish it. And so sober is, all right, nice hydration, right? And guys, the Bible, God actually describes his word as water. This is the water of the word that keeps us hydrated. And spiritually, it's a big deal. So he says, all right, this is what living hope does. The living hope helps us to live. It helps us to gird our minds like that, take those thoughts. It helps us to have a sober mind. The living hope that we have gives us an optimistic mind. In verse 13, this is all in verse 13, by the way. I haven't read the rest, but trust me, I'm not going to go long. And then he says, have a girded mind, sober mind. Verse 13, set your hope. What is that hope? Wishful thinking? No, it's, again, your mind. An optimistic mind. Set your hope on the grace to be brought to you at the revelation of Christ. That doesn't speak about the past. That's the future. What are these Christians struggling with? What are they seeing? All they see is the present and what's happening. And they're like, well, I know that, but their mind is on the problem. And here he's saying a girded mind, a sober mind. Why? So it could be optimistic. So it's like, no, anchor your hope on Christ. As bad as it looks, we know what it looks like in the end. He promised that all who trust in him will be raised to new life, that we will see him one day. If you're a believer, we will see him one day. That gives us, that future hope now gives us strength for today, right? I mean, that's why people commit suicide. Why? Because they're like, there is no hope beyond today. Why live any longer? There is no hope. But when we have hope, we can live today, endure today, continue on and press on. That's an important thing.